Imagine walking through downtown Beijing. Glass skyscrapers tower above you. Luxury apartments stretch in every direction. Millions of people hurry through the streets without looking up. Then, you notice something that doesn't belong. An old Western-style mansion. Its walls are cracked. Its windows are dark. Its roof has partially collapsed. It looks as though someone simply forgot it existed. Except nobody forgot. People avoided it for decades. Tonight, we're going to talk about a house that many people believe is the most haunted building in China. A mansion surrounded by stories of crying voices, disappearing workers, unexplained deaths, and a woman who may still be standing at one of its second-floor windows. Welcome to the podcast, You Can't Unhear. The address is surprisingly ordinary. Number 81, Chaoyangmen Inner Street, Dongcheng District, one of Beijing's most expensive neighborhoods. Land here is worth millions of dollars. Developers have demolished countless historic buildings to make room for modern towers. Yet somehow, this one survived. For more than half a century. Abandoned, empty, untouched. Locals simply call it Chaonei No. 81. Others give it different names. The Murder House. The House of Weeping. Beijing's most haunted building. During the day, it doesn't look particularly frightening. Old, yes. Forgotten, certainly. But as evening falls, the atmosphere changes. Residents who have lived nearby for years tell remarkably similar stories. Some claim they hear a woman crying somewhere inside the mansion after midnight. Others say a figure appears behind one of the second-floor windows whenever heavy rain begins. A few insist they've seen shadows moving from room to room, even though the building has supposedly been empty for decades. One account posted online around 2015 became particularly famous. According to the writer, 4 friends waited until almost 11 o'clock at night before slipping through a gap in the fence surrounding the mansion. Inside, their flashlights barely reached beyond a few meters. The darkness felt unusually heavy. The air carried a strange sweetness. Not quite mold, not quite decay, just wrong. At first, everything seemed ordinary. Broken furniture, collapsed ceilings, dust covering every surface. Then, someone heard footsteps, slow, measured, walking across the second floor. The group froze. Nobody spoke. The footsteps continued, one after another, moving calmly through an empty building. When they finally climbed upstairs to investigate, the sound stopped. Or so they thought. One member of the group suddenly whispered, "There are 5 sets of footsteps." There were only 4 people. They began opening doors one by one. Every room was empty, until they reached the final room at the end of the corridor. The smell returned, far stronger this time, almost unbearable. Their flashlights illuminated only a few feet beyond the doorway. The rest of the room seemed strangely dark, as though the light itself refused to enter. Then, someone noticed a shape. Standing perfectly still, human-sized, long hair covering its face, wearing what looked like old-fashioned clothing. Nobody moved. Then, they heard crying. Not loud, not dramatic. Just quiet, heartbroken sobbing. One of the women turned to leave. The moment she stepped toward the staircase, something struck her from behind, hard enough to send her tumbling down the steps. Her friends rushed after her. She had badly injured her ankle. They all insisted someone pushed her. But when they turned around, the corridor was empty. Only the open doorway remained. And according to the person who shared the story, the figure that had been standing inside the room was now standing much closer, waiting. Stories like this spread quickly online. People who had never met each other described similar experiences. Footsteps, being watched, being pushed. Women's voices crying somewhere inside the mansion. Even people walking outside claim they sometimes saw shadows passing behind the second-floor windows. Enough stories accumulated that eventually they became part of the building itself. But perhaps the most famous legend isn't about urban explorers. It's about a woman. According to local folklore, during the final days of the Chinese Civil War, a high-ranking nationalist officer hid inside the mansion before fleeing Beijing. Some versions of the story say he escaped to Taiwan with his family, leaving behind a pregnant mistress who begged him not to abandon her. Days later, she was supposedly discovered hanging from the ceiling of the second floor, unable to survive the betrayal, unable to escape. Some believe her spirit never left. Others argue the story appeared years later, growing larger every time it was retold. After decades, almost nobody can agree where history ends and folklore begins. What we do know is that the mansion has a very real history. It was built during the early 20th century in a French Baroque style, originally serving as the home of a French railway engineer and his wife. Years later, ownership changed. Political upheaval transformed Beijing. Foreign residents left. Religious organizations disappeared. Governments changed. Yet somehow, the mansion remained. Then came another mystery. The woman believed to have been its final long-term resident simply vanished. No confirmed burial. No clear record explaining what became of her. She was there, then she wasn't. Around the same period, during the Cultural Revolution, the building was reportedly occupied for a short time by Red Guards. Young revolutionaries. Fearless. Determined. According to local stories, their stay didn't last long. Years passed, then decades. Developers repeatedly discussed demolishing the mansion, yet the project never seemed to succeed. Construction workers reportedly described equipment failures, tools disappearing, unexplained accidents. Some stories even speak of workers refusing to return after hearing voices inside the empty building. Others tell of people entering and never being seen again. By then, the mansion's reputation had become impossible to separate from reality. Everything changed again in 2014. A horror film inspired by Chaonei No. 81 became a massive box office success across China. Suddenly, the mansion wasn't just famous in Beijing. People traveled from across the country hoping to see it. Hundreds arrived every day. Many tried climbing the fence after dark. Security eventually had to be increased. Not because the building was haunted, but because it had become dangerous. Ironically, the ghost stories attracted more visitors than any tourist attraction nearby. Eventually, the mansion was renovated. Fresh walls, new windows, modern interiors. The building reopened. Today, from the outside, it looks almost ordinary. Professional, clean, respectable, and yet the stories continue. Security guards still turn away curious visitors. People still gather outside after sunset. Some swear they see movement behind the upstairs windows. Others stop walking altogether because they believe they hear someone crying inside. Perhaps ghosts aren't always created by death. Sometimes they're created by memory, by unanswered questions, by decades of whispered stories that slowly become impossible to separate from reality. And maybe that's why Chaonei No. 81 still feels different. Not because anyone can prove it's haunted, but because for over 100 years, people have continued looking at the same building and quietly asking themselves, what really happened there? Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, don't forget to follow the podcast, because every week we uncover another story that blurs the line between history, folklore, and the things we still can't explain. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and I'll see you on the next episode of the podcast You Can't Unhear.